In a quest to preserve the world's historic treasures, it's often the small things that we are able to save. But what about preserving something big and solid, such as a great building or a sculpture the size of Mount Rushmore? As the December issue of National Geographic magazine shows, new technology makes that possible. George Johnson is a science writer for National Geographic. George, good morning.
Good morning.
Where did this idea come about to preserve buildings, to essentially make digital copies of them?
Well, around 2003, remember when the Taliban destroyed these famous Buddha statues in Afghanistan? And there was an entrepreneur named Ben Kassira who was just, shocked by this, and then realized that he had invented a technology that he might be able to promote to preserve digital replicas of things like this before they're destroyed. So if they disappeared, they could be conjured up later in cyberspace.
I was fascinated by how they do this. I mean, they're essentially taking laser beams and they're going every contour of a building or whatever they're trying to preserve and recreating it. Is that? Yeah,
it's a lot like an old-fashioned TV camera where you would scan an electron beam off of every, line by line across the scene very rapidly. But in this case, 50,000 times a second, you're bouncing a laser beam off the surface, and then you're preserving a picture or a replica of the exact contours. So
there's a project here that's actually, it's kind of like a Noah's Ark, if you will, right? Of accumulating all these buildings and putting them in a place.
Yeah.
It's called SciArk, is that right?
Yeah, SciArk, and Ben Kassira was his name, and I think that has something to do with the name of the institution that he later started, and it's short for Cybernetic Archive, but I like to think of it as a cybernetic ark, and saving the.
And how many buildings do they want to put in this?
Their goal is to do 500 in the next few years.
When you see that process, it would seem like nothing would be too big. I mean, they could really preserve whatever they want. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, I watched them at an ancient Hindu temple that's it's like a step well that's like 5 stories going down beneath the ground, and intricate walls of Hindu carvings, reincarnations of Shiva and things. And they were scanning this entire thing. It took 2 weeks while I watched them do this, and getting it down to a resolution of less than a quarter inch.
Is it an expensive process, George?
It's expensive, and they rely on donations. It's all a non-profit effort, and they get government grants, they get private foundation money, and things like this.
It would be an amazing blueprint to have. George Johnson, thank you so much.
Thank you.